Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me here on this Monday, September the 9th, 2024. My name is Brian Engelman, and this is the Strictly Browns show here on the Unhappy Hour, part of the new American media, because the old American media has failed you. Thank you so much for joining. We're going to unpack the Browns season opening debacle, the massive loss to the Dallas Cowboys. Somebody was saying, asking the question legitimately, is week one against the Cowboys a must-win game for the Browns? And I said yes. This is the time that you need to set the tone, set the tempo, and get on the same page. Start out leading the division. It's time to win the damn division. You haven't won the division, what do they say, since 1988? 88, 89, like something like that. That's an insane amount of time. 98, 08, 18 to now. What is that? That's 30 bunch of years? 35, 36 years? But the Browns find themselves 0-1 now. And we're going to talk about all of the madness. Hello to Christopher, Brian, Kenneth, William, Jessica, Joe, Keith, anybody else who is happening to chat. Please leave your comments. And once again, I did type in the comments section the way that you can join us live. Oh, I think my name is, I got to change my name here. Sorry, on the screen. I share a studio with Mike Barra. We have launched a show. You might remember Mike. He's a best-selling author on the New York Times list. He's a lecturer. He's an author. He's a television personality, a radio host. You might know him from the Ancient Aliens series. So we're doing a show with him every Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern time. It's called Strictly Football. He's a Seahawks fan. I'm a Browns fan. But yeah, I had to change my name on the screen there because he was in the studio last. He does a show earlier today. And then he does Toxically Masculine Tuesday. That's a show he does tomorrow at 9 p.m. I will be joining, I believe, for the next several weeks. It's a roundtable panel discussion of current events and politics. I've been a guest on the show, reporting live from the Chicago convention for the Democrats. I've been on there the night that Trump was shot by the deep state hack flack or lackey that was allowed to get put 100 yards away from him for an easy slam dunk. Luckily, he missed. But yeah, I've been doing shows with Mike for a while, and so we share a studio, a virtual studio, and had to change my name there. So thank you, everyone, for being here. Where is the Facebook page? You can leave your comments. Let's just go through it a little bit. Keith Piper saying the O-line was awful. Watson was awful. And Shitfansky didn't make any adjustments. No. Whoop. That's weird. I tried to click a comment, and then it went live on it. Odd. Maybe I can pause the playback. No, he did not make adjustments, unfortunately. Oh, God. Keith continues. The entire team is awful. Shitfansky didn't have them prepared. Have the Browns ever looked this unprepared to open a season? Yes, they have. I went to this game. It was the last football game I'll ever go to with my brother. Not because the team sucks or because I'm so jaded. It's just my brother's no longer on this realm. So our last great opportunity to go to a game together, he was a great defensive end for the Brunswick Blue Devils, and I was a very good defensive end on a great team for my undefeated Blue Devils. We both played the same defensive end position. We liked football a lot. We liked talking about it. We liked going to games. But the last game we went to was the Tennessee Titans at home. It was the home opener. I think that was the beginning of the season. I think that was game one. I don't think we were 1-0 or 0-1. I think it was the very first game. And we came out and got shellacked, rocked. Remember, that was when I believe that was the first year that Beckham was here. And he just was not either running the right routes. He wasn't in the right spots. The timing was off. He wanted the ball more, even if he was covered. I don't know what the deal was, but Baker the season before was really good. And then to start this season, it was garbage. It took several weeks to get a feel for what was going on. And then following Odell Beckham's injury, the Browns went on a really nice run, I believe, culminating in the playoffs. So I guess that must make it 2020, huh? 2019, 2020. All my years start to conflate. Some of you are excellent with all of the statistics. I kind of lose track of some of the specifics. That's for damn sure. By the way, if any one of you want to jump into the program, here, let me see what Matt's doing. Let me get Matt's take. Oh, I couldn't add the guest because of technical issues. Oh, thanks, Facebook. They won't let me add you to the show. Let's see if I can add Holly. Oh, see, it worked with that. Matt might have a technical issue. And by the way, Holly, you don't have to join. If you want to join, you can join. But yeah, this team looked so unorganized and unprepared. Holly, did they look unorganized and unprepared to you?
First off, I think Facebook will only let you let Bengals fans join.
Somebody asked, we were talking about Watson and Baker. And they're like, yeah, well, how did Joe Burrow look yesterday? I go, he looked like Joe Biden. He looked like Joe Biden.
We aren't here to talk about the Bengals. But
hey, you brought it up.
They look equally as unprepared. I have zero room to talk.
What do you attribute that to? I mean, you're following this just like anybody else. How do you show up so completely unprepared for your first test in school? It's a new year of school. You show up for your very first test, and it's like you didn't even open the book.
The obvious answer is, to me, that preseason is no longer what preseason used to be.
Correct.
And everyone's worried about getting hurt. You have the NFLPA involved, and no one's playing their starters. And so game 1 and sometimes game 2 turns into what feels like preseason with starters. I don't know. There's probably more to that, but
I think there is. I think there's a lot to that. I don't appreciate not having your guys ready to go. There's a game speed. There's a tempo. I think it was Quincy Carrier. I was watching some of his analysis, and he said these balls that Deshaun Watson were throwing, they were sailing so far out of the playing field. These were 10, 15 yards out of the reach. They weren't even remotely close. And what he said was, it feels like that's an adrenaline thing. That's a speed of the game thing. That's a, if you put on the full jersey, you take a couple hits, you make a couple throws in preseason, game 1, game 2, game 3, game 4, you're comfortable. You have a feel for the flow and the energy. It's a dance. It's a ballet. It's a back and forth.
It's football 101. You put Pee Wee football players together in a scrimmage versus they know how the game feels and looks. It doesn't change, right? But I just think that there's a lot of people who think that there are pre-established relationships between the quarterback and his players. Those are all going to just magically show back up on game 1. There's a lot of dynamics at play here. But no, I watched both games yesterday. Both teams, my Bengals, your Browns, both looked equally deer in the headlight and made you wonder, like, what were they thinking they were going to do? So.
Well, luckily, the Ratbirds lost. So 3 of the 4 teams in our division are 0-1. Unfortunately, Schittsburg did find a way to pull out the win. Do you have any hope for the Browns? What's that?
With a kicker. If without their kicker, they
yep.
Win yesterday, the stupid Steelers. But yeah, I think the Browns will come around. I think, I don't know. Like, I'm kind of like some of the others. You look at the stuff in the news with Deshaun.
Another accusation broke today from 2020 on Deshaun Watson, Browns quarterback.
And I'm with you. I believe in, innocent until proven guilty, but at the same time, it's a big distraction. I think it looks like his teammates are not so fond of him anymore. And so there's a relationship problem there, I think. But I don't know. I have plenty of Browns fans that I want the best for. And when the Browns are successful, I'm happy for my friends. And, I think that what happened yesterday was not what everybody thought was going to happen. And everyone's disappointed today. So.
Yeah, I typically only root against the Bengals when we're playing you. I don't have any particular animosity. With Schittsburg, Minkah Fitzpatrick took an intentional dive at Nick Chubb's knee on a like he wasn't even looking at the play. He just hit him with the crown of his helmet, diving to explode his knee. I take it personally about Schittsburg. Baltimore stole our team. They can go to hell. So it's like out of the 3 other teams in our division, I'm not worried about the Bengals one little bit. And luckily, and also because of recent history, the past 5-6 years, we've won like 70-85% of the games we play you head to head. So I'll take it, whereas we usually get whooped by the others.
I agree, and that's always my favorite time we play you guys, and I don't open my mouth because of it. I just think
Yes.
So I share that same, passion that Brian's fantastic. So I got to run. Thanks for bringing me on. I got to pick up a late night dinner.
Thanks for jumping on. To be continued.
Yeah. Take care.
All right, there she goes. There's Holly. Yeah, that was awesome. That's what I want to do here on the days after game days. I just want to click on people and bring you on camera. Why not? Well, it says I'm unable to join because of technical issues, but anybody that I can try to add, I will try to add. Keith Piper, calling Keith Piper right now, seeing if he's still there. By the way, I'll take this moment to let you know, if you haven't seen these, check them out. These are the Unhappy Hour Sports Show wooden coasters. These are Ohio made. These are real wooden coasters, sets of 4. They're $30. If you go to Venmo at Brian Engelman, give a $30 donation and tell me your address, and I will mail you a set of these, postage included. These are wooden, the Unhappy Hour Sports Show beer mug. What are they called? Yeah, they're wooden. You hear them clanking? That's real American wood right there. But really, manufactured, created at a plant in Ohio. A friend of a friend created these. But yeah, they're awesome. These are great. What are they called? What the hell are they called? Coasters. Why couldn't I think of the name? So just in the comments at Brian Engelman on Venmo, if you want a set, it's 1 for $30, 2 for $50, and shipping will be included. And just tell me if you want the Ohio shape or the circle shape or one of each. Do the 8-pack for $50 if you want to get some of these. They're so darn cool. All right. The Browns look completely unprepared, just like they did against the Tennessee Titans. And that was beyond disappointing. Football games are about the memories that are made. Football games are about tradition. They're about energy. They're about dominance. They're about assertion. They're about culture. They're about setting a city on fire in a good way, not in a Tim Walz kind of way, but in a good way with energy. And when you come out and you represent your hometown team really well, then that's something that permeates through the culture, through the city, to the bars, to the restaurants, to the hotels. I think the Cleveland Browns owe us an apology. Who should be the person? Who would be the best person to offer an apology? And by the way, I'm going to ask Amanda if she wants to give us her take on the Browns game. On this Facebook app, I'm allowed to click the thing, bring them on camera. So if you want to jump on, jump on. If not, ignore it and we'll move on. But I would like to see an apology from the Cleveland Browns. That was pathetic what we had to witness. And yes, like you, I got excited. Foolish me. What did George Bush say? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, can't get fooled again. Fool me once, Cleveland Browns, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I allowed myself to get my hopes up. I allowed myself to think that this could finally be our Super Bowl winning season. Finally. After all these years, finally, we're going to get our chance. No, not even remotely close to something that we were going to get an opportunity on. But look, hold on. Let me talk about some positives. I'm going to get into the Baker versus Deshaun thing. I'm going to get into Deshaun. I should probably sketch out some notes here. But Deshaun, there's a lot going on. I could take this 100 directions. So that's why I'm kind of curious. Where do you want to take it? What up, David? How are you, sir? How are you, sir? But I really would. I would like an apology from the Cleveland Browns for this pathetic effort. They were completely unprepared. That's on coaching. I think we have a legitimate problem with Deshaun Watson. And I find it so interesting. My understanding is that if there's another accusation not related to the ones that were specifically named in that class action lawsuit, that there might be a way to get out of the Deshaun Watson contract. But we're going to unpack that. Of course, Watson lost his former teammate and his father the same week. And, his head's in a million places. But this is about the entirety of the product, Keith. Thanks for joining us. It's about the entirety of the Cleveland Browns product that Kevin Stefanski, Andrew Berry, and Jimmy Haslam and Dee Haslam were able to Oh, where'd you go, Keith? No. I was tossing it to you, sir. It's about the product that they put on the field. And they didn't look ready to go.
There we go.
All right, there we are. Keith,
All right.
what's your take? Anything I've said or anything brand new? Where do you want to take it?
I don't know, and I agree that we're not prepared. You figure, game one, the crowd was there. The crowd was into it.
Yeah.
Everybody was pumped before the game. It was almost as loud as I've ever heard it there, and then only to be disappointed once again.
Yeah. It's how much of an effect. Holly just brought that up. We brought her on the show. Thank you, Holly. Holly's one of our super contributors to the Unhappy Hour Sports Show group in the Facebook group. Always love her posts. But she was bringing up, this is clearly a function of a change in the preseason routines. Nobody's playing. They're not taking it seriously. And I had previously mentioned Quincy Carrier saying it felt like Watson had the nerves. He didn't have muscle memory and he didn't have a chance to settle into the adrenaline. So when he was running and pumping and, getting hit and now you're in a fight, Mike Tyson said, everybody had the plan to get punched in the face. So it was like, it felt like Watson just went bonkers once he got punched in the face. What say you?
And that's what we were saying at the game. Like, maybe they should have let him play a quarter in preseason, Obviously, I don't know what they did all in training camp. I don't know what this West Virginia thing's all about that they're doing. It doesn't seem to be working. Like, we're going to build relationships or what have you. But obviously that didn't help. I heard you and I think it was Holly talking about, the team maybe doesn't seem to like Watson anymore. My theory on that is maybe Flacco taught him what a real quarterback can do, and now they saw that, and maybe they have some resentment towards Watson. But
how long could we possibly go with quarterback play like this before you pull the plug? What do we have to offer? Flacco's on a team now. He's on the Colts, right?
Yeah, I think he's on the Colts.
Well, if we offered a 7th rounder or a 6th rounder or a 5th rounder and said, man, we got to get our guy back. Like, how the Browns let their offensive line coach go to Tennessee because his son was the head coach there? I think there's some sort of honor among thieves. I know we're competing against the Colts, but like, I'm not calling them thieves. I'll call Michigan thieves. Those dirty rat bastards stole a championship from the Buckeyes. Forever an asterisk. Yeah, it ain't easy. So easy to win when you don't know the other team's play calls in advance. Is it Michigan? The hell was I saying? Something about something? Yeah, I feel like if we offered a fair compensation and said, look, this, but I don't know. They made their determination. They said, Flacco, you're not our guy. He's putting up 400-yard games. He's got us the position. Mike Polk Jr. when he did the Factory of Sadness, when he yells at the stadium, and he said he has a line in there. When I watched Flacco compared to Watson or DTR or PJ Walker, I remembered the line from Mike Polk yelling at the stadium. He goes, "It's like they're playing a different sport." Flacco had the offense looking amazing. Look at what Cooper was able to do. Why didn't we bring him back?
Yeah, let's think. Winston's our backup, right? I know he's had some iffy seasons, but he couldn't have done any worse than Watson.
He could not have done any worse.
Flacco, I liked him a lot last year. He completely surprised me, but there's a reason he might have been sitting at the couch at the beginning of the year, and we saw that in the Houston playoff game. Who knows? But
And some of that is scheming and coaching. I remember watching something, and whether it was an accurate report or not, it showed the Houston Texans coaches on the sideline. They knew what the Browns play calls were going to be. Okay, so if that was an accurate representation and that was from the Browns game and it wasn't just misconstrued, because there's a 5% chance I misunderstood the story, but if that was accurate, that's on coaching, that you turned your cards the opposite way. You put both of your cards face up, and it's like you didn't need to put your cards face up. 4, 5, or 6 what before that one?
How many starts did Flacco have prior to?
Roughly. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So maybe they were able to find a bunch of ways to, they were telegraphing the plays.
Yeah.
things like that, which goes right to the coaching, you know.
It absolutely does. And I mean, not much went right yesterday, but let's talk about what went right. How about that? The punter had some really good punts, right? Bajorquez.
Never a bad one though. I mean, we had the return, but there was one that was short, I think, or was that the return? I don't know. Let's think here. O-line was off. And O-line, I think, is getting overlooked by Watson. I think they were horrendous, to be honest, because we couldn't run the ball either. I'm not defending Watson because he looked like complete garbage, but that O-line didn't do him any favors either.
Yeah, I mean, the offensive line, what?
Callahan left, but I mean, could they really go from being really good last year to zeros just because of a new offensive line coach? I don't know.
But, well, like I said about if we offered a fair compensation to the Colts, it's almost like if we would give one of their players a chance to start out of respect for him, take the pick, make the swap, figure it out. Like, you got to have a third quarterback, but when we're talking about the line, I think Bill Callahan, we gave him the professional courtesy of, I think he was still under contract and we let him out of it to go play with the Sun, because it's like, this is a unique opportunity. We don't want to deprive you of that, even if it hurts our team. Bill Callahan is the offensive line whisperer. Why would you let that guy out of your door? That's insane to me. And if you're not going to go out and get Joe Thomas to come back and coach your line, I don't know. I don't know much about the new offensive line coach, but I don't know what we did to bolster. No, I heard it earlier on a Quincy Carrier show, but I don't recall it off the top of my head. But like, we knew that there were injuries on this line. Jed Wills didn't play. Conklin didn't play either, right? So what did we do to bolster this position? Obviously, we don't have first-round picks to draft a stud lineman to plug and play, because thank you, Deshaun Watson. We'll get to that later, but I mean, what did we do to fix that line? It just.
And then how many penalties did DeJuan Jones have yesterday?
Thank you.
A couple false starts, I think maybe a whole. I mean, that guy was decent last year until he got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I love the guy's size. I don't think I've ever seen an offensive lineman like that. But
Yeah, it's like Andre the Giant out there. It's very unique watching him.
See his head above like everybody else. It's kind of funny.
No, it really is. I don't know. I don't know how much of this is because of the loss of Bill Callahan. I don't know how much is lost because, Jack Conklin's still injured and Jed Wills is still injured. But last year, I mean, everybody was injured and we were able to plug and play because the system made sense. But I will say this, I was listening to another report, and if this report is accurate, and maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but in the advanced analytics, Deshaun Watson had the number 8 most amount of time before pocket collapse or before contact or however the metrics were. He was top 10 in protection, but he doesn't seem to know the playbook. He doesn't seem to know that guy's doing a 10-yard hitch. That guy's doing a stop and go. That guy's doing a fly. It's almost like he doesn't know the playbook.
You know how many times you saw a guy wide open out there? He threw it like to the stands. I mean, it was bizarre. You know, it's like you have all these people just watching his back there, like, hey, look at that guy, and he's just whipping the ball into row 10. You know?
Exactly. And I think Baker at his best, I praised him many times because I saw it in many games. Now, not all the games, and definitely you got to erase the shoulder season. That's the abomination season. Fine. Assume all of that is trash. A good coach would have done that. A good GM would have benched them for their own good. Case Keenum. And he was paid fairly well coming over from the Vikings, that he knew the system that Stefanski was running.
Yeah, so I don't know why. I don't know. Maybe Stefanski was a false flag where he wanted to destroy Baker. I don't know.
No, I think some of it, he set him up to fail for sure. I think he was annoyed that Baker was trying to fight through the injury when the team doctors were saying, you can't play. And he's like, no, I got this. And he went out and he sucked. And he's like, no, I'm going to keep going. And you're like, fine, pal. And he talked to the GM and goes, look, Baker's out of control. I don't think he's that talented. He sucks. Let's let him get destroyed. We won't even double team TJ Watt. We're going to let him just get absolutely blown up by the Steelers. Hopefully he'll get injured for good. No, it got all sorts of toxic. But what I was saying about Baker was, I saw a guy that would take his 1, 2, 3 step drop. He'd look at read 1, he'd go to read 2, and then he'd chuck it to read 3 on a hot route because he's got his internal clock knows I'm going to get crushed if I don't 1, 2, 3, get it out of my hand. And they're like, oh, the line is so good under Baker. The line is so good under Baker. It's like Baker's letting the ball rip fast, in and out of the hands, right to the playmakers. So you don't get sacked, you don't get hurt, you don't lose the ball, and push the ball downfield. Baker at his best, he knew at 4 seconds, 5 seconds, he could spin, and a guy would be coming back this way, and he'd be right there as a safety valve. I see Watson as a guy that goes, all right, my number one, who's my guy? All right, and he knows before the play who he's going to. He takes the snap, and he zooms in on him, and he watches him. He stares him down, and when it's not there, he runs left. He gets out of the pocket, and it's like a kid in 7th grade recess with a Nerf ball running around on the blacktop pretending they're Michael Vick. He doesn't look like an organized quarterback who understands the scheme. This one or last year or the year before that.
No, he doesn't. He looked lost. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know what if Ken Dorsey's changes were that big, but I thought they brought Ken Dorsey in because he fit Deshaun Watson's style.
Yeah.
Here that worked.
I don't know if Watson has any style anymore. But by the way, the reports now that there's a 2020 accusation that has just come out now, and I'm wondering, and I pose this question. Here's the question of the day: do you think the Browns were holding on to the 2020 report in case they needed to bail on the fully guaranteed contract? Because allegedly, I think there's an escape clause in said contract that'll let you get out of 230 fully guaranteed if yet another crime is brought forward that has nothing to do with this batch of 30 crimes, alleged crimes. Because I give any accused human the benefit of the doubt. I do it with Trevor Bauer, Bubba Wallace. I'm going to wait until any accusation I hear. Which one? Jussie Smollett, Donald Trump. Let's go down the list of high-profile hoaxes of the past 10, 20 years. I mean, the pile is it's scary. You know, the power of the mob to cancel people in advance it's a terrifying thing. So I will always back. Oh my God, we could use an ace with a redemption arc story as part of it. Like, yeah, I threw the ball out of the field. I was a douchebag. If he came out in his press conference and goes, man, I was in a bad headspace there and I chucked the ball. That was pretty lame. It was pretty cool that I made it out of the stadium, but it's pretty lame that I disrespected the game that way, and I apologize for that. By the way, all the other things you heard about me, guess what? It was proven in a court of law, not just that I didn't do it, but that I was getting set up and framed for extortion. So I do humbly ask for your second opportunity here, because as you remember, I was working a drone and I skimmed open my finger and I was shooting blood all over in the playoffs, and I really wanted that World Series. So I've had things happen to me that were not my fault, things that were my fault, and I want to put that stuff in the past and help Cleveland, help you win your first World Series of this entire generation since 1948. If Bauer came out and gave a 60-second speech like that, the fans would love that. They would embrace the hell out of that. But for some reason, remember the fake blackball accusation that Colin Kaepernick made of the NFL? It wasn't. He just sucked. Kind of like Watson sucks. He just sucks. There's no conspiracy. He just sucks. Trevor Bauer really is getting blackballed. I reached out to Rachel Luba, his agent, asking if we can get her on to do a show. I'm going to keep working on that because I don't understand. I don't understand what in the collective bargaining agreement would force teams to blackball an innocent player who hasn't been convicted of a single crime.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it seems ridiculous to me that he's being blackballed. But then again, we all know Manfred and how he works. So.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
You know, there's probably some stupid reasoning there. I mean, that guy, he's destroying baseball.
But the Tribe are pretty good. The Tribe are pretty good right now, right?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they've been a fun team to watch this year. I did my little temper tantrum and boycott for a couple of years, but I guess I'm back now.
Well, you know, I'm not purchasing any merch. But you know, I still like that Cleveland has a team. I don't like the name. I think I'm going to mostly, if not always, try to call them the Tribe. That's my only concession. But they are still the Indians. They're always going to be the Indians. No, and that's great. You love to see it.
Still obviously I've learned to, get over my stubbornness and compartmentalize it and just try to enjoy a good ball game.
Yeah, I'm never gonna be over it. I'm never gonna be over it, but I'm a fan of the sport of baseball, and I'm a Cleveland baseball fan. If they called them the Spiders, I would still be rooting for them. If they were I thought they should just be called the Tribe. If you want to modernize and do this or that, like I had no problem with the Tribe. That's just a tight-knit group of community. Like you could take the historical origins and maybe modernize it. Nothing wrong with Tribe. Well, we didn't want anything that even resembled Native American culture. It's like, why are you whitewashing the cool stuff that the Indians have done to like open the barriers? We had the first black coach in the American League. We had the first black, that was Frank Robinson, the first black player in the American League in Larry Doby. We had the first Native American player in Louis Sockalexis, who we named the team after. Like we're a trailblazing franchise. And that's like, no, you can't talk about that stuff. Who says?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous.
At what point, so it's like they pick and choose, but you don't see people going after the Celtics or Notre Dame or,
The Fighting Irish. All right, Keith, final question, and I'll let you go, and I'll see if anyone wants to jump in the show in your stead. What's your prediction on the Browns, Deshaun Watson? Was this just a really good Cowboys team, which they are, I think, and we were just a couple steps behind. We made too many self-inflicted errors, and we're going to have a chance to turn the ship around? Or is this just like, is everything flashing red for you? Like, do you think we turn it back on? Can we make the playoffs still? Are you just out on the season after one game, or do you have hope?
Well, right now, I went into the game thinking, all right, we might not win this, but it'll be competitive. I wasn't expecting a complete beatdown like that. If it was competitive, I would probably been all right with it.
Yeah.
But I guess I still have hope. You can't get too down on one game. Shit happens.
Right.
I mean, I just hope that at some point we can right the ship and hopefully it took a game for these guys to gel and maybe they'll go to Jacksonville, a new team. And it reminds me of Stefanski's first year when they played Baltimore, got pummeled, absolutely annihilated. They made the playoffs that year. So
Yeah.
I try not to worry too much, but I'll tell you what, there wasn't much that looked good. So.
No, I'd say our place kicker looked good. Dustin Hopkins, he did his job, right? That was good.
Yeah.
And you know what? It wasn't a very close field goal. It was a little further out. And as I watched it, I had zero nerves in the pit of my stomach. I just looked at the angle that the camera was showing me. I go, that's where it's going to go. And that's exactly where it went. Like, I feel like we stabilized kicker.
After the first offensive drive and the first defensive drive, I thought, we got this. And man,
the wheels came off. The wheels came off after that first quarter, because we were. It felt like we had some movement, we had some potential, we were making some stops, but yeah, man, the wheels fell off and it went wonky as we skid off the road there.
Here's my theory. I say if Watson plays that bad against Jacksonville, just pull and put Winston in and see what happens. I mean, he was obviously playing hurt for about half the game, and
You're saying that Watson was hurt for half of the game yesterday?
He was hopping around all over the place.
Oh, okay.
He looked pretty. I mean, there were a couple times he took hits and he just laid there. We're all kind of sitting there, maybe Winston will come.
Yeah, I remember I was at the Tim Couch game where he got injured, and Kelly Holcomb. Remember Kelly Holcomb, Tim Couch?
I remember that, yeah.
I was at I think that was.
400-some yards in that playoff game, but they still managed to blow it.
Well, Kevin Johnson dropped the ball that hit him right in the chest. That's on Kevin Johnson. That's not on Tim Couch there. But yeah, I mean, like, I remember when that injury happened, I was cheering because I liked Kelly Holcomb. This was after, it was clear that Kelly had it. He had a timing, he had a rhythm and energy, a leadership. He had it, whatever that is. The thing Watson hasn't had since he came to Cleveland, except for that half against the Ravens last year, because that was a perfect half. That was a perfect gutsy half. I'll give him that. But yeah, I was cheering for Holcomb, and the guy in front of me is like, "Hey man, show some class. Why are you cheering an injury?" And I'm like, brother, I would never cheer an injury. I'm rooting on Kelly Holcomb, who's coming in, who has to fill in for the injury. Like, yes, I wanted to see that move made. No, I didn't want to see him get hurt. And no, I certainly don't hope anything ill. Yeah, so you know what? Maybe Winston is the version of Flacco where he just lets it rip 40 yards downfield. Let it go. Launch it. Winston has always done that. Flacco looked incredible just letting it rip last year. So anyway, yeah, we'll see. I don't think the leash is very long on Watson. We'll see. Now that this story came out, question of the day, did the Browns leak this story? Because are they ready to pull the plug? You and I think the same way, conspiratorial. Like, what's the sneakiest thing I could do? Or I did a show. I jumped on to a program. A guy does a podcast out of Chicago on Saturday. And I said, let's play a game. I said, you ever hear this Paul Harvey says, if I were the devil, and he does this whole thing. If I were the devil, I would ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. And if I were the devil, and it's all the things that were currently happening. I think he put that out in the 60s or something. And it's super true. So I said to this radio host, I said, I like to play a game called If I Were a Bad Guy. If I were a bad guy, I would invade a nation by putting 10 million people coming through, nobody checking IDs. I'd strategically place you at locations across the country to spur into action as soon as I snap the power grid off. And we go after all of the people with wrongthink who we've identified through our social media algorithms to eliminate them, steal their homes and property, and overthrow this nation from the inside out. If I were a bad guy, I would do that. And these are things I happen to look around in the news and go, wow, it almost feels like if there were a bad guy, they would be doing this exact same thing. So to flip it back to the Browns, it's like, well, if I were in charge, if I were going to maybe need an escape hatch out of a 230. One more thing. When I worked at a talent agency out in Beverly Hills, I won't say the name on this show. I heard what I heard, and I'll talk about it. I overheard a conversation with an agent and one of the assistants, and it was about an international show, whether it was Bangladesh or Tokyo or Germany, I don't know, something. But it was booking XYZ artist into this venue for this day at this pay rate. And there was a conversation about what the promoter wanted, and they're going to do this and blah, blah, blah. And there was a phone call, and the phone call was done. And I was in the space where the conversation was said, well, no, we're not playing that show. We have no intention of playing that show. We're booking that show. And because of this escape clause, we're going to get out of it, and we're going to be fully guaranteed. I was like, holy shit, you guys are thieves. If I'm hearing what I think I'm hearing, and by the way, legal disclaimer, let's just assume everything I said was fiction for the purpose of instrumenting and illustrating, rather, this Deshaun Watson point. For illustrative purposes only, no accusations about that place. But look, if the Browns said the only way we're going to get him, and it wasn't, because nobody else was giving that much. The Saints were going after him, though. There were a couple of the Falcons were going after Watson at the time as well. But if you give a fully guaranteed contract, wouldn't it be great to have a trap door underneath it to never fully intend on honoring a 5-year contract, most fully guaranteed money of all time, if it goes bad, if it turns south, if it doesn't work out, we'll pull the plug, we'll pull the ripcord and we'll deploy the parachute and get out of this thing. Yeah. That's what I would write into a contract. That's a good point. Yeah, ripping off all the truckers, right?
Probably has his escape hatch. Called his buddy down in Houston. Like, hey, let's get this going.
Let her rip, pal. Let her rip. That was a shit performance yesterday. All right, Keith, thank you for joining us. To be continued, good sir. I will see you around soon. Let's stay positive until we're unless we become mathematically eliminated. Otherwise, let's just stay positive. Why not? I don't know. I try to avoid the black pill in politics, in my personal life, in the sporting realm, all of it. I try to. I battle it. I'm not perfect, but
after that, it's hard, man. It's hard, but let's see what happens. Let's keep an open mind.
Absolutely, Keith. Thank you so much. To be continued. We'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you later, Brian.
There he goes, everybody. Keith Piper. Make sure you check out the documentary Football Equals Family. That is sitting out there. Football Equals Family. If you go on YouTube, Keith ended up in that documentary where I went to the Cleveland Browns' perfect winless season parade and hung out with Chris McNeil and his family all day long. Once again, if you have any interest in getting a set of 4 The Unhappy Hour Sports Show coasters, these are wooden coasters, real wood, 4 per pack, made in Ohio, in an Ohio plant, in an Ohio factory, small business inside of this dude's huge garage, multi-story barn garage, workshop studio. But yeah, if you want some of these, just go on Venmo at Brian Engelman, BrianEngelman, and just say, I want the Ohio shape or I want the circle shape. So any 4-pack is $30. That includes the shipping, or you could do both for $50. So say I want both, or I want the Ohio shape or the circle shape. Pretty cool design. They're all wood. They're laser engraved. They're like burned into the wood. They're super cool, man. If you want to support our work here that we do, and it is work. I love talking sports, but like it's work, y'all. So if you're interested, just shoot a Venmo request and I will get that in the mail immediately. If anyone wants to join the show, yeah, I don't know if there's a way for you to click a button and join, but let me see if I can see. It's weird because I'm not able to access the comments, and I'd really like to get to the comments that you have. Let's see, we got 9 comments here. Oh, yeah, there we go. Okay, here's a few. Cool. Got to get rid of that bum Watson. So Facebook won't let me type a reply to the comment without going live, and that screws it up. But anyway, Gareth says we've got to get rid of that bum Watson. Do you agree or disagree that you've seen enough? Pull the ripcord. Isn't it interesting, the timing on the Deshaun Watson 2020 sexual battery allegation now? Do the Cleveland Browns have an escape hatch in their contract? And was it deployed? Did they break glass in case of emergency? Sure feels like a hit. You know how like Donald Trump was fine until he declared he's running for office, and then he got indicted 90 trillion times by 3 corrupt DAs in backward corrupt cities? Seems fairly intentional and perfectly timed to damage you in the worst possible way. Also, I want to give a shout out, James Earl Jones. You may remember him from Field of Dreams. Rest in peace, good sir. He passed away earlier today. Geez, what did it say? 93 years old, maybe? But yeah, go watch Field of Dreams again. You know, sports is about more than just what happens on the field. And that's why I'd really like to see an apology from the Browns. Like, you let 80,000 people showed up to your party and it was awful. There's not much great stuff that we can say about that game yesterday. The advanced analytics are terrible. They're just awful, honestly. I don't even know how much we want to dig into the stats. What do you want me to say? What do you want me to say about the stats in yesterday's game? David Njoku got dinged up and he dropped the ball. Several people dropped the ball. Amari Cooper dropped a touchdown. Dropped a touchdown? That's Amari Cooper. Myles Garrett, it seemed like he was winded. He was gassed. He was sucking air. You know, it's hard to look at someone like David Njoku or Myles Garrett and say, you know, your conditioning isn't up to par. I mean, come on. How many of you hop out of the shower and do one of these and look like either of those two people? You know, look, not to go all Magic Mike on you or anything, but over the past few years, Cleveland Browns fans have been subjected to many, many bare midrifts and completely shirtless video sessions starring Myles freaking Garrett and David freaking Njoku. They look chiseled out of stone. But yeah, something about Myles. I mean, like, some people are questioning if he had the gas to get him through, and you wonder, are these lingering effects? You know, it's been rumored that he's had a hard time with his lung capacity after some stuff the past couple of years. I don't know. I saw that, and I'm not going to give Miles too much grief because he's getting double and triple teamed, which should open up the rest of the field for the rest of the guys. But they didn't really get away with much. They didn't really accomplish much. But with the defensive backs, I didn't see a lot of. I know they broke up some passes. I know they defended some receivers on plays that were not completed. But I didn't feel like their timing was on. I didn't see their heads in the right spot at the right time. They weren't making plays on balls. Now, maybe you could say, look, if you're focused on the player and you're using the sideline as a third or second defender, you don't really need to play the ball if you get him into a spot where you work the angles and you know if the ball comes, you got him here and it's going out of bounds. But I didn't see, and there was a wide open touchdown pass from Dak Prescott yesterday, who didn't look particularly fantastic. But when there's a blown coverage, what was that? Thornhill bit on that one? It didn't look good. It looked like an unprepared, sloppy team. You know, you can double move somebody and someone's wide open or someone slips or someone overcommits or, you know, what was that? Sendejo? Was he the one that always, who was the one on the Browns that was always getting cooked? Sendejo? Always getting cooked. I don't know. I just didn't see that our defenders were like on it. We had one or two potential interceptions. One or two potential interceptions that were not capitalized on. And that's unfortunate. I mean, how great would a interception have been yesterday during the course of that game? Something to steal some momentum. Anything to steal some momentum. But that just wasn't the case. Like I said, the kicker did his job. The punter had a lot of good punts. Like Keith said, it was maybe reminding me one was not so good. But yeah, and there was a punt return for a touchdown. So I'm not saying the punt unit. I'm saying it seems like the punter was putting the ball where he was supposed to. But yeah, you can't give up a special teams touchdown like that. But really, it comes back to what I led the show, how I led the show today. They didn't look prepared. Anytime you have a self-inflicted injury, it's unacceptable, and it comes back to coaching. A prepared team knows what they're doing. If Watson can't figure out where the reads are, that's on the coaching. And it's on the GM for bringing in a guy that's not too sharp, not too bright, not too capable of understanding an NFL playbook. Couldn't you have just watched the games down in Houston? See their team gets way behind and then he just chucks it up 45 yards downfield for DeAndre Hopkins, closes his eyes and chucks it. That'll work sometimes under certain coverages, under certain circumstances. When you're playing non-winning football, I know he won in college, but I never understood it. I never saw it. Never liked the trade. And if anyone wants to join the show, just click the link. There's a link in the description, and you can join on the Restream app right now. I would ideally like to navigate and bring everybody from Facebook over to Restream. Maybe step one would be to subscribe to us on YouTube. Find The Unhappy Hour Sports Show or The New American Media. When we do these shows, we broadcast them both on TNAM and on the Unhappy Hour YouTube pages. But yeah, you can join the show, and ideally, I could join you through Restream and put you up on the screen. It's a little, I mean, maybe I could do that through Facebook. Actually, maybe I could do that through Facebook if I share this screen. And I'm actually going to try it. Somebody try to do that. Try to go on Facebook. Where's Sal? Oh, there he is, Sal. I'm going to say, where are you at? Okay, now it's letting me type. That's good. Yeah, so Gareth also wanted to say, Keith is always speaking the truth. Thank you, Keith. You gave some good content to Gareth there with your analysis of you can jump on video. This Browns situation. Okay, so it looks like I'm sharing this screen. Look at that. Picture in picture. So if I go to somebody here on Facebook, it should jump onto how we're going through Restream. Let me switch these around. I'll keep that minimized. But I want to talk about Baker freaking Mayfield for a second. Look, couple of you boo bird losers out there are already giving me grief. Are we really going to start talking about Baker again? Oh my gosh, let it go. Let it go. Let it go. You want me to let it go? The best quarterback the Browns have had since Bernie Kosar? You want me to let that go? By the way, Jennifer Marie, I clicked the button to bring you on camera if you want to give us your take on the Cleveland Browns game. I think that could be fun. No need to sweat it, though. If you're not in the mood, do not accept. But if you want to, tell me your take on the Browns game. Are you excited? Does it make you happy? Do you think we can bounce back? Can we recover? Do you think Watson's going to end up getting thrown out? Is he being framed right now so that we can void the rest of his contract? But I do want to talk about Baker Mayfield. I want to talk about Baker because we had a quarterback here. We drafted a quarterback here. He was improving here. And then he got injured. So he tried to play. Stefanski and Barry weren't fans of it. They couldn't reach an agreement on the contract, and bridges were burned, and Baker bounced. And for a hot minute, everybody wanted to tell me, injured Baker, that's the real Baker. No, not the guy that won at Oklahoma. Not the guy that's won everywhere he's gone. Not the field general. No, not him. We're going to take the abomination season and say he's the one. That's the season we should focus on. That's the real talent evaluation on that guy. Well, that guy, last year he was comeback player of the year. He won his division down in Tampa. They won a playoff football game that the Browns didn't win. He went to the Pro Bowl, and then he won the Pro Bowl Skills Challenge, and then he won Pro Bowl MVP. I don't know. I think Baker had a pretty damn good year, and I think he had a perfect QBR yesterday with 4 touchdowns. What if we had competent quarterback play yesterday? Would that game have felt totally different? Yeah, it would have. Yeah, it would have. And somebody did offer the question and said, well, there's no way the Cleveland Browns would have had this version of Baker. Baker needed to eat humble pie. He needed to get kicked down a few pegs. He's a little too cocky. He's a little too brash. He's in over his head, and he's the victim of getting in his own way. If he would have just taken that injury designation and got healthy, it would have been a totally different story. But he was too stubborn and boneheaded, and he lost the locker room. Well, it didn't seem like he lost the locker room with the Rams. Seems like he went there and on a couple of hours learned a playbook and led a 98-yard drive with no timeouts on nationally televised game to come from behind and win a football game for everyone to see. Then it seemed like he was given a chance to go down to Tampa Bay to fill Tom freaking Brady's shoes, something nobody can do. And he wins the division, and then he wins a playoff game with them. Then he starts off 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, damn near perfect quarterback rating yesterday. I'm just sitting here wondering. What if the Browns had decent, competent quarterback play yesterday? Would it have been completely lopsided? I don't know. I got to think that it would have been better. I feel like yesterday would have been better with Jameis Winston, with Joe Flacco. I don't think Deshaun Watson gives us a good chance to win. I don't think he's good. I've never been big on Watson. If you recall, I know you do. I was not a fan of the amount of draft capital the Browns had to eviscerate to acquire Deshaun Watson. I said, this guy's getting accused of how many crimes? He got benched by his team. Seems like a bit of a team cancer. Sort of lost the locker room. We need an adult in the room, say the Browns. Remember that quote? We're going to move on from Baker because we need, quote, an adult in the room. Well, Watson didn't play with the Texans that last year. That was awkward. It kind of seems like he lost the locker room, though. But let's give up 3 first-round picks, a pile of other picks, and then make the largest, Most fully guaranteed, I believe the only fully guaranteed contract in NFL history. I could be wrong on that, but I believe it is. And if that's the only fully guaranteed contract in NFL history, don't you think, like we were saying about Trevor Bauer being blackballed by Major League Baseball, which I think there should be some sort of, I don't know what collective bargaining I don't know what legal, there's got to be something Trevor Bauer, Rachel Luba, and her team could go after the MLB for blackballing and not allowing an innocent man to not play baseball in his peak. I'm taking that personally. I've always been a Bauer fan. He's never been guilty of anything. But anyway, back to Watson. He doesn't seem comfortable. He doesn't seem happy. He doesn't seem energized. He doesn't seem competent or confident. He looks like a broken man. He doesn't play as if he fully understands all of the playbook. He just doesn't. He held the ball way too long, which made the line look way worse than they actually were. And they weren't great. Now, let me ask you, how bad do the Browns, how bad does the Browns offensive line look yesterday if we're not having false starts, illegal motion, stupid shit that you're supposed to work out through coaching in practice, in pre-game games? Well, who knows? When you self-sabotage, and by the way, there's that great meme going around. It's like the white arm and the black arm locked together, almost like they're doing the, I think it's just kind of like coming together. I don't know what that's from. It's not from Over the Top where they're arm wrestling, I don't think. But it's kind of like coming together in camaraderie, like we're in this together. And the meme says Cleveland Browns and who was the game on yesterday? CBS. And it was like wasting $300 million on quarterbacks because people were saying Tom Brady was not great yesterday. I would agree. I did not particularly care for Tom Brady's call yesterday at all. But the other question with Brady was, did he have nerves? You're damn right he had nerves. See, I would love to interview Tom Brady about the nerves that he had. That would be an interesting deep dive into how. I always used to say this when I played for my 2 undefeated football teams in junior year and senior year in high school. That guy's Al Bundy. Yeah, I got cool stories, and I'm going to tell you them. When I played, I believe it was Shaker Heights, I think, in the preseason, the preseason. Did the scouting report on the opposing team, and I was the right defensive end going up against their left tackle. This guy was 6'6", 290, something. He was like the left tackle at Nebraska or something. And it was flash forward from junior year to my senior year, and I was like, all right, I'm excited. I am nervous. I feel the nerves, and I'm like, man, that is a huge guy. Like, how do I move him? How do I get around him? How do I keep my lanes? How do I stay deep as the deepest back? How do I make sure I don't get hooked so nothing gets between me and the sidelines? Like a lot of nerves. I know at least mentally, I think you have to take that, compartmentalize that, appreciate that, understand that, and then shift gears and then say, you know what? I'm not nervous. I'm excited. Because right here, right there in the chest, right underneath, kind of like the bottom part of the rib cage, right there. If you try to like take a deep breath, let's see, and then clench, like let's say somebody's ready to take a swing, and it's like, all right, hold on, let me clench I'm gonna do the Houdini. I'll take any punch. So when you clench, you feel that like right, it's above the belly button, and it's in between the nipples, and it's like right in that like upper middle part if you're clenching, because you're kind of holding your breath. You're clenching, you're working. And that feeling is the same feeling of being nervous that's the same feeling as being excited. You're like, oh. Remember Rajai Davis's home run? After you heard the sound of the bat and you watched the camera pan over and you went, and you held your breath and everything tensed up and you tightened. You're like, ah. Remember that? Those are the nerves that I would love to get I would love to talk to Tom Brady about that. Anyway, I didn't think he did all that great yesterday. I was not a fan. Also, Linkin Park has new music out. Not a fan. I wish the girl singer would not scream as much. And I think, by the way, I listened to most of the concert. I was kind of working and it was on in the background. I wasn't like giving it full attention. But it sounds like she's going to blow her voice out if she keeps it up. So I would say sing a little bit more, scream a little bit less. But yeah, I think Brady had that yesterday for his first game. It's interesting. The Browns, it'll always be Brady's first game broadcast. Just it's an interesting sidebar. It's not particularly important. But it's like Quincy Carrier said, I believe on the show I was checking out earlier today. It just seemed like Watson he didn't have the game speed down. He got no reps in the preseason. And when you're actually playing preseason and you're really tensing up and taking hits and you're running around and you're trying to there's a different intensity when people are coming after you. And so maybe that's all Watson needed to really just kind of, and the whole team for that matter, too nervous. They didn't find a way to channel it into excitement. You looked at the faces of the people on the sidelines, they were stone-faced. There was no talking. I mean, I'm sure there was. But when I was noticing they were cutting the action to the players on the sidelines, I didn't see players going around, all right, come on. Hey, come on, head up, let's go. Let's go get them this time. That last play, watch that on the sweep. You got to watch that when they come around. I'll get the backside. Make sure you take the inside route. I got the outside. There was no excitement. I didn't feel energy. I didn't feel excited. I didn't feel like the players had excitement. Hence, if you tighten up and get that ball and you're feeling that in your chest, in the top of your stomach, rather, your esophagus. Maybe this was because they didn't know how to channel that nervousness into excitement. It's a long season. If it could, it's Murphy's Law. If it could go wrong, it did go wrong. And that's what yesterday felt like. If it could go wrong, it did go wrong. So let's imagine a scenario where next week everything doesn't go wrong. Quincy broke down the game footage and he said, look, after the second, what was it? See, what do you say? The 2-minute warning? From the 2-minute warning at halftime onto the rest of the game, Jerome Ford actually was productive. He had 4 to 5 yards a carry. He ripped off a couple and he had a couple that were stopped, but like he was doing 4 or 5 yards a carry. Like it was a real running game like you want. And of course, we saw that Indianapolis game last year where he can rip 70 yards for a touchdown. He's capable. Yeah, the Browns put up a couple points toward the end of the game. It's better than not doing it, but then they missed on some other chances too. It's back to the drawing board for the Browns. In an alternate universe, there's no rain delay in 2016 and the Cleveland Indians defeat the Cubs and win our first championship. Because look how painful that is knowing that the Indians don't exist as a team anymore. And we will never see an Indians World Series, despite seeing 2 of them go to Game 7 extra innings. No team should suffer that level of blue balls. No fan base should be subjected to that without a relief, without a release. In an alternate timeline, we win that. And that Rajai Davis home run, my God, is that epic. It hits the camera that spins it around. Like if you saw that in a video game, you'd go, oh, stop being so silly. That's so cartoonish. That really happened. That was supposed to be our, what was it? The Natural. When he hits the home run, it puts out the lights and the lights splinter, shattered light into the night. Shattered light into the night. In an alternate universe, Baker Mayfield is still the quarterback of this team. In an alternate universe, the helmet-to-helmet hit from Dirty Dan Sorensen against the Kansas City Chiefs on the Baker Mayfield to Hollywood Higgins touchdown is called for targeting. And then in the next play, Nick Chubb or somebody punches it in. In that game that we lost, I believe, by 3 or 4, we win by 3 or 4. Then we go on to the AFC Championship with Baker. Maybe we win against the Bills and go to a Super Bowl. Maybe we win the Super Bowl. But in that timeline, maybe enough is seen. The franchise is able to kind of gauge what healthy Baker can do. Hey, maybe that interception isn't thrown on that Anthony Schwartz route the following year that leads to a Baker Mayfield injury that led to him getting run out the door. So in my alternate universe, I would love to see how that would play out. Maybe it would be terrible. Maybe it would just be cocky, brash, uncontrolled, unhumbled Baker, and it would just be the same train wreck we're seeing with Watson, just with a lot more energy and weird mustaches and silly progressive commercials. But in my alternate timeline, Baker is still the Browns quarterback, and we've won a Super Bowl by now. I've always thought he has what it takes to get it done. Some of you are still convinced he'll never be good. He only plays well against shitty teams. And they'll show me the Baker Mayfield cycle. If he goes for 1 touchdown, 1 interception, the team wins, but they barely win. He only had 181 yards, low completion percentage. Told you, he's trash against great teams. Maybe. But to me, I never believed it. I always thought that his best days were ahead. And maybe they are. And I still hope he wins a Super Bowl. But in my alternate timeline, he's still quarterback of the Browns. We already have at least 1 championship and everything is hunky-dory and we never messed with Deshaun Watson. He's quickly becoming to the ex we wish we never met. Now look, you want to be fair? Let's be fair. Say the offensive line didn't do much. Like I said, the analytics prove otherwise. He held the ball too long, but go 50-50 on that. Blame the patchwork line because there were a lot of penalties. You can't win. Tom Brady said it over and over and over during the broadcast. He said, you cannot win, you will not win when you are moving behind the sticks. When you are in tennis, when I was in high school, I was the captain of my tennis team. I played first team doubles. And in tennis, you have something called an unforced error. So if you double fault, if you have 2 serves and you're unable to put it in that box, you give your opponent points. And then you try to do it again. That's an unforced error. At least, like they say with pitchers, if you're going to throw it outside the strike zone, you're going to put them on base. At least put it in the strike zone because, look, you'll go to the Hall of Fame if you get 3 out of 10 hits right. If you fail 7 out of 10 times, that means you're a career 300 hitter. That'll get you into the Hall of Fame if your career is long enough and you're doing other things. So at least put the ball in the strike zone and let them put it in play. They could pop it out. They could ground it out. They could strike out. Or they could get on base or score a run. But, at least give them the chance. And, geez, I mean, Watson's passes weren't even giving the receivers a chance. Some were low. Remember that first season where everything was in the dirt? Good God. This has been an awful start to this new project. Some balls were in the dirt. Some balls were thrown out of bounds. Some balls hit them in the hands but high, and then they led to tips. Some balls were just dropped by Amari Cooper that could have been a touchdown. I get it. It's hard to imagine everything going wrong like that again next week. And if we eliminate those stupid unforced errors, don't hit it into the net on your tennis serve. At least slow your next serve down so that you have more control. Yes, it'll be easier for them to hit it back, but if you don't at least get it in that box, you're not even going to have a chance. You will automatically lose those points. At least put it in play and see what happens. And when you're doing illegal motions, illegal shift, false start, ineligible lineman downfield, it's like You're not even giving yourselves a chance. You're not even giving yourself the opportunity to compete. So this is on coaching, people. Stefanski did not have this team ready to go. Are you telling me that you're putting the two-time coach of the year on the hot seat? You're damn right I am. In their prime, Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward, Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb's injured. Yeah, but he's still like in his prime. Amari Cooper, he's old, still in the end of his prime. There's a core to the Cleveland Browns that needs to win now. And for Stefanski to just waste a chance at starting the season out 1-0. If you start the season off 1-0, you are much more likely to make the playoffs with a chance to win a Super Bowl than if you start 0-1. Don't have the stats in front of me. I don't have a stat team. But I know that's true. So, was week 1 a must-win game for the Cleveland Browns? We're going to find out. If the Browns missed the playoffs by a game, you're damn right. You're damn right it was a must-win game, but maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. Maybe we got a chance to right the ship, but they have to play a lot better than we saw yesterday. So that's my analysis on game 1. Stay tuned. On Thursday, we'll do an episode of Strictly Football with best-selling author and Ancient Aliens guy, Mike Barra. He's a Seahawks fan. I'm a Browns fan. We're going to talk about the entirety of the league. He does a Seahawks show. I do a Browns show like this one. But on this show, we're going to look at, the bigger picture, the fantasy football implications, the coaching changes, the free agency stuff, the draft pick jockeying, and of course the playoff race. Who's winning, who's losing, whose trajectory is upward, who's is sliding in the wrong direction. So that'll be Thursday. Here we'll put this out on Restream. I don't know if we'll put it out on Facebook. Let me see about setting up a couple other cameras for that. But really, if you can find us, The New American Media on YouTube, The Unhappy Hour on YouTube. I said that twice. I meant The New American Media on YouTube. On X, we stream. We're at American_media_. We're also at The Unhappy Hour _. So please link up with us in all of the places. All of your comments are awesome. Anytime you feel like jumping on and give me your thoughts, that's the coolest. But yeah, seriously, feel no pressure. I want this to be a place like I'm the bartender. When I click the button, you belly up to the bar. Tell me what's on your mind, partner. Like that. Also, as I wrap this show up, I want to show this camera first. These are Ohio-made The Unhappy Hour Sports Show coasters. There are 4 per pack. They are neat. They are crafted in Ohio, in Ohio factory at a small business inside of a large 2-story garage, workshop, studio area. Wooden coasters. If you want some, please go on Venmo. Find at Brian Engelman at BrianEngelman. And you could make a donation. It's a gift. And then as a gift back, I will send you one of these. Just tell me if you want the circle model, do you want the Ohio-shaped model, or do you want both? So shipping included, it's $30 for these 4, $30 for these 4, or I'll do $50 for both of them, shipped out in a package to you for the holidays. Put these out. Put them in your man cave. Put some out in the garage. The Unhappy Hour. Come on, we talk sports all the time. It's fun, and it's annoying. Mike Polk Jr., again, in that Factory of Sadness rant, he says, now look, I know that there are more important things to life than football, but you were supposed to be my pleasant distractions from those things. There are many more important things in life than football. And sports is supposed to be my pleasant distraction from those things. So I appreciate all of you joining me in the Unhappy Hour to talk about this stuff and have a good time, sharing memes, sharing jokes, leaving comments, and just continuing the banter. But I really do view it like I'm the bartender here. This is the unhappy hour. Here's your coaster. Set it on the bar. What do you want, partner? Here, I'll give you a drink. Listen to that. Hardwood, folks. I know it's like pressed or something. I don't know exactly how they were made, but they're burned wood. That's not coloring that's going to fade. That's burned, etched into there. It's so cool. But yeah, I'll give you one of these. Grab a drink, and you're going to tell me what's on your mind. We're going to talk about the Browns game. That was always the vision I had for the unhappy hour since I lived in Los Angeles, and I was 3 time zones away from all the people I grew up with, and most of the Browns fans that I knew, the Browns fans I've watched games with, gone to games with, played football with. That's what this community is, and I appreciate each and every one of you for being a part of it in whatever way you happen to be. So I'm going to let you go for now. Check out, like I said, Strictly Football with Mike Barra. That'll be Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern. Find it, The New American Media on YouTube and The Unhappy Hour on YouTube. Please subscribe to both. And we're going to put it at American_media_ on X. Also, tomorrow, we do another show here at The New American Media, and it's called The Agree to Disagree Show. We think that in our program, which is from 3 p.m. Eastern Time to 4:45 Eastern Time, we will give you some of the best political analysis that you're going to find anywhere. If you're trying to get caught up on a lot of the most important things happening on our globe to humanity at this moment, the Agree to Disagree Show will provide you that. So that is every Tuesday and Thursday from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Does Tim Clausing want to join the show and tell us what's on his mind, Tim Clausing? Do you want to be brought on camera and give us your thoughts? Tim famously roots for the New York Yankees. I don't know what that's all about, but he has some Cleveland allegiances. He has some challenges staying loyal to some of these Cleveland teams. But join us on the Agree to Disagree show every Tuesday and Thursday, 3 p.m. Tomorrow, I'm going to be with Mike Barra and Blake Wally, who I co-host with the Agree to Disagree show, and maybe 1 or 2 other people tomorrow on Toxically Masculine Tuesday. I will stream that on X at American_media_ on YouTube at The New American Media. And then I'll put it onto our Rumble account and our Spotify podcast afterward. Please subscribe to our Spotify podcast as well. Go on Spotify and find The Unhappy Hour and the Agree to Disagree show. Link up with both of those, please. And hit our Rumble account, The New American Media. So, yeah, we'll do that show tomorrow. I have some other guests I am looking to bring into the program in the immediate future. But also, if you go back to last week, you'll see that I had an interesting interview with Bob France, who has worked with Cleveland sports teams and has been a broadcaster, and he's got a new cop show coming out that we discussed on a previous episode of The Unhappy Hour. That was the Agree to Disagree show, sports and current events. Then we talked to 11-time Emmy Award-winning sportscaster John Telich and Zach Barris, who's been doing shows with us for the greater part of 13 years, about the Browns' relocation plans to Brook Park and the opening of the season predictions. And like I said, we also posted the first episode of Strictly Football. We'll have to check. We're doing a running tally of how our teams did. We're doing NFL game picker. And so we're picking games, and I'm curious to see how well I did, or the lack of how well I did. I'm not entirely certain. So anyway, check out all these shows, other things coming in between. So please link up with us, and let's try to stay positive on the Brownies. That was pathetic, though. I am salty. I'm angry. I would like an apology. An apology would go a long way. And keep your eyes peeled on the voiding of Deshaun's contract. I am very curious to confirm if there's an escape hatch on that contract. And the suspicion that maybe the Haslams are behind leaking this report so that they can get out of it. If they've pulled the plug already after game 1, good Lord, what a mess. Worst trade in NFL history. Andrew Berry needs to get let go. I mean, he's been good at making trades for players like Amari Cooper for a 5th-round pick or Jerry Jeudy for a 5th-round pick. Some of those feel like good trades, but are they? I think Amari's proven to be a great one, but not a lot of great draft picks. I think it's I've said it for 3 years now. I think Barry and Stefanski deserve to be on the hot seat a lot more than they have been. This is a make or break season. You were a playoff team. The only expectation is you now go to the playoffs again, and you win this time. Maybe you don't go as a wild card team. Maybe you win your damn division for the first time in 36 years or something. Come on, grow up. If the Lions can do it. Anyway, I'm going to sign out for now. To be continued. I appreciate each and every one of you for participating in the Unhappy Hour Sports Show and for anything related to the New American Media. So I shall talk to you soon. I appreciate you. I love you. We'll take care. I was going to say we'll talk to you again soon, but I literally just said that. And then I say peace. Go Browns. Beat those Jaguars. We can be 1-1, and we can catch our breath. We can rebuild our season. Close your eyes and envision a dominant Browns victory and being happy on Sunday. You lived in California too long. That sounds like a bunch of woo-woo crap. This team is cooked, and we're going to be playing for a first number 1 overall pick. Well, at least we get to pick